the Lord's Prayer is misunderstood, it's mystical, but it's also foundational and formative. But ultimately, it's our feedback to God. So then there's a second section of the Lord's Prayer, which I would call the petitions. It's the section where we begin to ask God for things. On the record, we added in between the songs this sound of this person who's experiencing the record, the person who's kind of listening along with the listener, leaves the place where they are, and they go and they mobilize. They get into a car, they start a car, they leave, and they begin driving. And that driving sound runs underneath the entire second part of the record. In fact, if you crank up between the songs, you can hear the car still moving. You want to be careful to turn it back down before the next song starts. But and we thought that was a good metaphor for this whole second section, which again is we begin to ask, but then we begin to work. We begin to do work that brings these things into being. So interesting, the first thing we ask for is our physical need. Give us our daily bread. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us the thing that for today gives us sustenance to keep us alive. I think in light of the reality in some of the poorest parts of the world, in Africa, for instance, you have to keep people alive in order to nourish them spiritually. And some people say, well, you don't need to feed and give water to these people. You just need to give them the gospel. But you can't give people the gospel if you can't keep them alive between the beginning and the end of your presentation. So no mistake that Jesus' first petition that he instructs us to ask for is for daily sustenance. Our physical bodies would be strong. And in the first century, this would have been a more urgent request, whereas today in the West, in the 21st century, we don't imagine asking for daily bread. We have everything. We seem to have everything we need. But to people who were as poor as many of Jesus' followers were, and interestingly, the majority of the world we still live in that kind of poverty. This was an urgent request, and it's again, it's something that implies in the fact that it's daily bread that it's something we have to do repeatedly. We have to ask over and over again. And he doesn't say, give us what we need for the month and we'll ration it ourselves. He says, give us what we need for today, just for right now. And if we're honest, we probably should be asking for something more like hourly bread. But it's an interesting way to start the second section.